It was past midnight. The sky was dark, and cold wind moved through the trees. Evan sat alone on his small wooden porch, drinking warm tea. He liked quiet nights. The stars looked peaceful, and everything felt still. But suddenly, he heard something. Strange, a soft, high-pitched cry, not like a dog, not like a cat. It was something else. He froze. The sound came again, a tiny cry, almost like a baby. But not human. Evan stood up slowly. He placed his mug down and grabbed his flashlight. The sound came from his backyard, near the old fence at the back. He walked carefully through the grass, his heart beating faster. When he reached the fence, he stopped. His light caught something strange. A basket. A glowing silver basket. It wasn't there before. It looked clean, smooth, and futuristic, not made by human hands. The soft cry came again, this time louder. Evan stepped closer. Inside the basket was a baby, but not a normal baby. She had light blue skin, tiny glowing eyes, and silver hair. She was wrapped in a warm, soft blanket. Her hands moved slowly, and she looked up at him, tears running down her small cheeks. Evan's breath caught in his throat. She was beautiful, alien, but beautiful. Taped to the front of the basket was a note, written in strange letters. But underneath, in English, someone had written, "Please protect her, I will return." That was it. No name, no reason, no explanation. Just this little baby, left in his backyard in the middle of the night. Evan looked around. The wind blew gently through the trees. He checked the sky. No ships, no lights, just stars. "Who are you?" he whispered. The baby cried again, louder this time. She was scared, cold, hungry. Without thinking, Evan picked her up. Her skin was warm, and she stopped crying the moment she touched his chest. She held onto his shirt tightly. Evan's hands shook. He didn't know what to do. But he knew one thing for sure. He couldn't leave her there. He carried her back into the house. Inside, he placed her gently on the couch and made a small fire in the fireplace. He wrapped her in a blanket and stared at her face. She looked peaceful now. Her little hand reached out, and Evan let her hold his finger. "What kind of baby are you?" he asked quietly. "Why me?" He had no answers. He lived alone. No family, no friends nearby. Just a simple man, working from home, staying quiet, minding his own business. So why did someone leave this alien baby with him? He looked at the basket again. The material was soft but strong, almost metallic. The glow was fading now. It hummed lightly, then went completely still. He checked under the blanket. No strange devices, no trackers. Just a sleeping alien child. He sat beside her and sighed. Maybe this was a dream. Maybe he'd wake up. But it felt real. Too real. The night passed slowly. Evan barely slept. He fed her with a dropper, using warm milk. She drank it, then fell asleep again. As the sun rose, its light touched her small face. She opened her eyes and smiled. Evan felt something inside him. Something he hadn't felt in years. Hope that maybe he was alone before. But now, he wasn't. He touched the note again. "Please protect her. I will return." "When?" he whispered. "Why? Did you choose me?" But there were no answers, only silence, and the sound of a baby breathing softly. He looked out the window. Was someone watching? Was this a test? Was danger coming? He didn't know. But he knew this. He would protect her, even if she wasn't human. Even if she came from the stars. She was just a child, and someone had trusted him. A simple man, with something so important. He looked back at her. She smiled again, and her little finger pointed toward the ceiling. Evan followed her gaze. Above the clouds, a shadow moved. Something was out there. Watching. 1 month later, Evan stood in the kitchen, pouring cereal into a bowl. Behind him, a soft voice asked, "Can I have the blue cup, please?" He froze. It wasn't just a sound. It was speech. clear, calm, intelligent. He turned around and saw her. Lyra. Only a month had passed since the night he found her in the basket. But she now looked like a 3-year-old human child. Her silver hair had grown down to her shoulders, and her bright eyes studied everything with deep focus. She was not crawling anymore. She was walking, talking, learning. Fast. Too fast. Evan handed her the blue cup without speaking. She took it carefully, smiled, and drank from it. How did you learn to speak so quickly? He asked, half joking, half shocked. Lyra shrugged, a little clumsy. I listen, I remember, I try. Simple answer, but too advanced for her supposed age. Later that day, Evan sat on his old armchair, watching her play with plastic blocks. She was building something. He narrowed his eyes. The shape she was making. It looked like a small tower. Not just a child's tower. It had structure, purpose. It resembled an alien building from sci-fi movies. Where did you learn that? He asked. I see it. In my dreams, she said softly, not looking up. Big towers, silver lights, loud sky, scary men. Evan's body stiffened. He wanted to believe this was just a miracle child, a random alien baby dropped on Earth by accident. But this was no accident. She remembered something. Maybe from her past. Maybe from before she was born, or worse. Maybe from her mother's memories. That night, after putting Lyra to bed, Evan took the basket out of the attic. It still glowed faintly. He ran his fingers along the edge, searching again. No new messages, no new signs. Just the same note, please. Protect her. I will return. But now Evan had new questions. Why was Lyra growing faster than human children? Why did she know things she had never been taught? And most of all, why did she sometimes wake up screaming the word, run? 2 nights later, something new happened. Evan was reading a book when the lights flickered. Then, a loud hum. Like a machine powering up. The entire house vibrated. He ran to Lyra's room. She was standing in the middle of the floor. Eyes closed. Arms out. Toys floated around her. The window shook. Evan shouted, Lyra! Are you okay? Her eyes opened, glowing white-blue. I saw her, Lyra said. My mother. She's coming. Then the energy stopped. The room fell silent. The toys dropped to the floor. Evan caught her as she collapsed. The next morning, Lyra acted normal again, like nothing had happened, but Evan couldn't forget. Something had changed. She wasn't just growing fast, she was becoming powerful. And now she had seen her mother. But in what way? A dream? A vision? A warning? He didn't know, but he believed her. Later that evening, Evan was fixing the backyard fence. The same spot where he had first found the basket. He paused, remembering that cold night. Suddenly, Lyra appeared behind him, holding a flower. Daddy, I'm scared. He turned to her slowly. Why, sweetheart? She pointed to the sky. There's a sound. In my head, like a drum, like footsteps. Evan looked up. Just clouds and stars, but his heart started to race. Footsteps of what? He asked. She whispered. The ones who took her. That night, as Evan locked the windows and checked the doors twice, he knew something deep in his bones. Lyra was changing. The world would notice soon, and someone was coming. Maybe her mother, maybe her enemies. But whatever came, he would protect her, even if the sky itself broke open. A loud knock echoed through the house just before dawn. Evan sat up straight in bed, his heart pounding. Lyra was already awake, sitting silently at the edge of her bed, staring at the door. She's here, she whispered. Evan grabbed the metal rod he kept near the door, just in case. He slowly walked to the front. His hand shook as he turned the knob. Outside stood a tall figure cloaked in dark metallic cloth. She looked worn, her body half covered in dirt and dried blood. Her skin shimmered, not blue like Lyra's, but a deeper silver gray, and her glowing eyes locked onto his. "I left her in your care," she said, her voice trembling, "because I had no other choice." Evan didn't speak. The woman fell to her knees. "I am Zari," she said. "Lyra's mother, and they are coming." Lyra ran into the living room, her eyes widened. "Mother?" she asked, unsure. Zahri opened her arms, and Lyra ran into them. The alien woman held her tightly, crying silently. Evan stood frozen. 1,000 questions burned in his mind, but only one came out. "Why did you leave her with me?" Zari looked up. Her face was tired, but her eyes were full of something deeper than pain, desperation. "They wanted her dead," she whispered. "Or worse, they wanted to use her. My child carries something powerful inside her. She is more than a daughter. She is a key." They sat together in the kitchen. Evan gave Zari water. She drank slowly, her hands shaking. "I was part of the royal guard on my homeworld," she explained. "But I learned a secret. Our leaders, they were experimenting on our own children, mixing genes, creating weapons." Evan's stomach turned. "They used my body without my permission," Zari said, voice bitter. "But Lyra was born, and I loved her." She looked at Evan with sharp eyes. "I escaped with her. They chased me across space. I was injured. I knew I couldn't keep her safe. Not then, but I saw you. I watched you, human. I saw the way you fed birds, helped a stranger fix her car, left water out for animals." She wiped a tear from her cheek. "I trusted your kindness. That's why I left her on your land." Evan was speechless. He had always felt like no one noticed him. Just an ordinary man, alone in a quiet world. But someone had. And now that someone, this alien mother, had returned, with enemies close behind. "How much time do we have?" Evan asked. Zari's eyes turned toward the window. "Not long," she said. "They're tracking my blood. They'll come tonight." Evan helped Zari set up strange devices she pulled from a hidden pouch. Glowing stones, sharp metallic discs, things he didn't understand. "Are these weapons?" he asked. "No," she replied. "They are warnings." Sure enough, hours later, one of the discs began to beep. Something had entered Earth's atmosphere. That night, Evan and Zari sat in the living room. Lyra slept peacefully between them on the couch. "She called you Daddy," Zari whispered. "I've raised her like she was my own," Evan replied, his voice steady. "And she still is." Zari nodded slowly. "I am grateful, but I cannot stay. Once I fight them off, I will leave again." Evan didn't reply. His heart ached at the thought of losing Lyra. "She deserves a home," he said, "not just to survive. To live." Zari looked away. "That's why I came back, not just to save her, but to ask for your help again." Suddenly, a high-pitched screech broke through the night. The lights flickered. Evan rushed to the window and saw it. A dark ship descending just beyond the forest. The ground rumbled. The warning devices Zari had placed blinked red. "They found us," Zari said calmly, standing up. Her cloak fell off, revealing a light suit under her clothing, elegant, glowing, and built for battle. "You should hide," she said. Evan didn't move. "I'm not running," he said. "She's my daughter too." Zari looked at him for a long time. And then she nodded. Outside, lights lit up the sky. The enemy ship hovered above the trees. Figures dropped down, armored, faceless, glowing red eyes. One of them spoke through a loudspeaker. "Return the child, and your death will be quick." Lyra stepped behind Evan, holding his hand tightly. "She's scared," Evan whispered. Zari stepped forward, her voice fierce. "They should be." The night sky was burning. Lights danced above Evan's home, not stars, but machines. Alien drones hovered in silence, their red beams scanning the trees like hunters searching for prey. Inside the house, Zari pressed her palm to the wall. Strange symbols glowed beneath her touch. A hidden panel slid open, revealing a thin metallic rod, humming with energy. Evan stared. You had weapons hidden here the whole time? Zari didn't look at him. Not weapons. Truth. She walked to Lyra, knelt down, and placed the rod in the child's hands. Immediately, Lyra's eyes glowed bright silver. Evan stepped forward. What are you doing to her? I'm not doing anything, Zari said. She's remembering who she is. Lyra stood very still. Her breathing slowed. Then, in a voice that sounded both hers and not hers, she said, I am not only Lyra, I am something older, something they created and feared. Evan felt the air change, the fire in the fireplace flickered blue. The lights above dimmed. Outside, even the drones paused. Zahri spoke softly. She carries a seed of the star core, the energy that powered entire worlds. They placed it inside her, hoping to control her, but she was too pure, too strong. Evan whispered, She's living power? Zari nodded. Yes, and they want to harvest it. Evan looked at the little girl standing before him, the same one who once cried in a basket in his backyard. Now, she stood like a beacon, calm and silent, glowing from within. She's still a child, he said. She shouldn't have to carry this. I agree, Zari said. That's why I ran. And that's why I came back. Outside, the loudspeaker echoed again. You have 1 minute to hand over the hybrid child. Surrender, or we enter by force. Lyra's glow faded. She blinked, confused and tired. I saw them, in my mind, she said. They're afraid of me. Evan grabbed his coat. Then let's give them a reason to be. They moved quickly. Zari placed defense crystals at every entrance. Evan took Lyra to the underground cellar. If anything happens, he said, you stay here. Lyra looked up at him. But I can help. I know, Evan said, kneeling. But you're just a kid, and I'm your dad. My job is to protect you first. She nodded. Promise you'll come back? He smiled, always. Outside, the forest lit up in fire. 3 enemy soldiers advanced toward the house, their armor pulsing with energy. Zahri stepped forward first. She moved fast, faster than Evan had ever seen any living thing move. Her blade sliced through one drone, sparks flying. Evan grabbed a fallen enemy's weapon and fired wildly, hitting another drone mid-air. But then, one of the soldiers stepped into the clearing, taller, stronger, and different. Its voice was deep and mechanical. Give us the child. The host of the core does not belong to you. She is not yours to take. Zari screamed. The enemy raised its hand. A beam of energy blasted toward Zari, but just before it hit, a glowing shield appeared between them. Evan turned around. Lyra stood behind them, eyes glowing, hair floating. Feet not touching the ground. The beam had no effect. The enemy stepped back. She's activating. Zari whispered. Evan shouted, Lyra, no. But Lyra's voice echoed. Like thunder and wind together, you will not take me. I am not your weapon. She raised her small hand, and the entire clearing shook. The drones dropped from the sky like metal rain. The soldiers collapsed to their knees, screaming, covering their ears. Even the tall one, the commander, stumbled backward. Then silence. Evan ran to her. Lyra, she turned to him, tears on her cheeks. I didn't want to hurt them, but I had to stop them. He hugged her tightly. You did good. You protected us. Zari knelt beside them. She's only beginning to understand her power. Evan looked at her. What now? Zari looked to the stars. Now, others will come. Some to destroy her, others to worship her. She turned to Evan. That's why I need you again. Evan didn't flinch. Whatever she is, she's still my daughter. The wind carried the scent of fire and metal. Evan stood in the middle of his ruined backyard. Trees scorched. The grass blackened. Pieces of fallen drones and armor still smoked on the ground, but the real storm hadn't arrived yet. That night was only the beginning. Zari sat silently near the porch, fixing her damaged arm. A silver liquid oozed where flesh met machine. She winced but didn't cry. Lyra sat beside her, too quiet for a child. Evan watched them from the doorway. He had questions, but he already knew the answer to the one that mattered most. He would not let them take her. Not ever. Inside the house, Zari unrolled a small metal scroll. It unfolded into a holographic star map, glowing softly in the air. "Ships are moving," she said. "Some from my world, some from worse places." She pointed to 3 red dots. "They'll be here in 5 days. Earth will be caught in it. They'll tear apart this planet just to find her." Evan clenched his fists. "Then we need to hide." Zari shook her head. "No place is safe anymore. Not on Earth, not even underground." She looked up at him. "That's why I came back, not just to take Lyra away, but to ask you to come with us." The room went silent. Evan looked at the child sleeping in a blanket near the fire. He had raised her, fed her, protected her. He heard her laugh for the first time. He taught her to write her name. He cleaned her tears. He told her bedtime stories. But leave Earth? Leave everything behind? Zari saw the conflict in his eyes. "If you stay," she said, "you'll never see her again. She'll be taken far, far away, for her safety. You'll be just a memory." She paused. "But if you come, you'll be hunted too." Evan stepped outside, needing air. He walked to the same spot where he'd found the basket months ago. The grass had never grown back there. He knelt down. The words on the note came back to him. "Please protect her." "I will return," he whispered to himself. "I did. But now what?" The stars above shimmered. One of them moved, a tiny distant light, heading toward Earth. The next morning, Zari packed the silver pod. It was hidden in the forest, cloaked. Until now. She loaded small weapons, food, data crystals, and survival gear. Lyra stood beside Evan, holding his hand. "Do you have to think?" she asked softly. Evan looked down at her. "About what?" "About coming," she said. "You're my dad," Evan smiled, though his chest ached. "I'm scared." Lyra tilted her head. "You were scared the night you found me too, but you stayed." He laughed quietly. "You remember that?" "I remember everything." Suddenly, a car pulled up outside the property gate. Evan's neighbor, Mr. Douglas, stepped out. He shouted, "Evan, what's going on?" "I saw lights in the sky. You okay?" Before Evan could answer, the air rippled above him. A drone, small, sleek, invisible a moment before, appeared with a high-pitched WHIR. It targeted the neighbor. "No!" Evan shouted, running, but the drone fired a small pulse. Mr. Douglas dropped to the ground unconscious. Lyra's eyes flared silver. The drone exploded mid-air. Zari rushed forward. "They found us again. They're testing reactions, seeing if she used her powers." Evan carried the neighbor's body to safety. "No more delays," Zari said. "We leave tonight. But you must choose now." That night, the pod door stood open. Zari waited inside. Lyra stood between her parents, one hand in Zari's, the other in Evan's. The engines hummed softly, waiting. Evan stared at the house behind him, the porch, the couch, the fireplace. His memories. His old life. He took a breath. Then he knelt beside Lyra. "You ready for a big adventure?" She smiled and nodded. He looked up at Zari. "I'm coming. Wherever she goes, I go too." Zari stepped aside. "Then hurry. Earth won't be safe tomorrow." The door closed behind them. The pod lifted silently into the sky. Far below, Evan's house grew smaller and smaller. The only home he had ever known was now behind him. Ahead, the stars, and somewhere in them, a war, a purpose, and a daughter who would change the galaxy. Space was quiet. Too quiet. The pod floated beyond Earth's sky now, past clouds, past satellites, into the cold, endless black. Inside, Lyra slept peacefully, her small hand resting. In Evans, her head lay on his shoulder. He didn't move. He just looked at her. And held on. Zari sat near the controls, eyes scanning the glowing display. Strange red symbols blinked in the corner. She pressed a button and frowned. "What is it?" Evan asked. "Zah." I looked at him with calm urgency. "We're being followed." Just then, the ship shuddered. Evan stood, holding the wall. "Was that a hit?" "No," Zari said. "It was a message." The screens flickered. A distorted face appeared, armor-covered, eyes like glowing coals, voice made of static and rage. "Return the child," it growled. "Last chance, no more mercy." Lyra stirred in her sleep. Zari stood. "They don't want mercy. They want fear." Evan's jaw clenched. "Then let's give them a fight instead." The pod dropped out of stealth mode and zipped toward a hidden moon base Zari had mentioned earlier, a ruined outpost, lost long ago in the war between her people and the ones who now hunted Lyra. When they landed, the base was dark, dead. Old tech, broken walls, silence. Zari activated the internal systems with her blood. The doors opened slowly. "It's not much," she said, "but it's all we've got." Evan looked around. "It'll have to do." The plan was simple. They'd make a stand here. Zari prepared traps, ancient, alien tech still hidden in the walls. Evan found an old railgun and repaired it using pieces from the pod. He didn't know alien machines, but he knew enough about survival. He'd learned by living alone for years, fixing things when no one else would. Now, that skill mattered. Lyra helped too, not with strength, but with sensing energy. "They're getting closer," she whispered at one point, her hand on the cold stone wall. "They're angry, but also afraid." As the sun passed behind the moon, shadows stretched across the rocky ground. Zari stepped outside, looking toward the stars. And then she saw it. A ship, enormous, cruel in design, silent, deadly. The enemy had arrived. No warnings this time, just war. The attack came fast. Energy beams slammed into the outer wall. Dust filled the air. The ground shook. Inside the base, Evan fired from the turret window, hitting one drone, then another. Zari danced through the smoke, blades of light in her hands, striking with elegance and fury. And Lyra, her eyes glowing like stars, stood in the center of it all, untouched. The enemy soldiers broke in. "Secure the child." One barked, but Lyra raised her hand, and time seemed to bend. Weapons stopped. Midair, footsteps froze. Even sound itself went quiet. Evan stared. "What is she doing?" Zari whispered. "She's choosing." Lyra walked forward through the frozen battlefield. She touched one enemy soldier's helmet. He dropped instantly, unconscious. She didn't destroy. She disabled. She reached another, and another. No death, no blood, just silence. Zari looked at Evan in awe. "She's not what they made her to be. She's becoming something new." Evan smiled. "She's just being herself." Suddenly, the ground cracked. A new enemy, larger, taller, almost mechanical, broke through the wall. Its voice echoed. "I was built to control her. You cannot win." It charged at Lyra. Zari tried to stop it, but it swatted her aside. Evan shouted, "Lyra!" But the girl didn't move. She waited. Then, when the machine was inches away, she lifted both hands, and with a soft pulse, it disintegrated into light. No scream, no noise, just gone. The battle ended. The ground was broken. The base ruined. But Lyra stood tall, unharmed. Zari limped toward her. You ended it." Lyra turned to them, eyes dimming. "No, I showed them we don't need to be monsters." She looked at Evan. "But more will come. This isn't the end." Evan put a hand on her shoulder. "Then we'll be ready. Together. Zari nodded. They feared what you'd become, but they never expected your heart. The stars looked different now, not because they had changed, but because Lyra had. The moon base was quiet, broken walls, burnt metal, ash floating in the low-gravity air. But for the first time in days, there was no sound of war. Just peace. Evan sat on a piece of fallen steel, watching Lyra draw circles in the dust with her finger. She was humming the same tune he once taught her back on Earth. He smiled. You remember that song? Lyra nodded. You said it keeps nightmares away. He laughed softly. It worked, didn't it? She looked up at him and whispered, I wasn't afraid. Not even when they came. Evan's heart tightened. This little girl, not born on Earth, not fully human, had stood against the strongest of enemies. And one with compassion. Zahri stepped out of the base, her injuries wrapped in silver cloth. She looked tired, but there was a light in her eyes. The enemy ships are gone, she said. Scans are clean, for now. Evan nodded. How long until more come? Could be weeks, could be hours, Zari said. But the message was sent. What message? That Lyra is not a weapon. She is a force they can't control. And they should think twice before trying again. Inside the broken base, Zari showed them an old star map. Most of the planets were crossed out, burned, forgotten. But in the corner, one small system blinked green. Evan pointed at it. What's that? Zari smiled. A forgotten colony. Abandoned long ago. Atmosphere is good. Life is peaceful. No cities. No wars. No eyes watching. Lyra looked up. Can we go? Evan looked at her. He thought of the porch back home. The cracked floor. The smell of coffee. Birds in the trees. It was all gone now. But when he looked at Lyra, he knew home wasn't a place anymore. It was her. They left the moon base silently. No victory celebrations. No flags. Just a ship carrying 3 lives. Changed forever. Days later, Green Planet came into view, glowing with oceans, clouds, and untouched forests. As they landed, Lyra ran out first, laughing for the first time in days. Her feet touched real grass. Birds flew overhead. The sky had 2 suns and colors. Earth never had. Evan stepped out next. He took a deep breath. It wasn't Earth, but it felt right. Zahri, I found a cave nearby, dry and safe. With their tech, they could build a home, start again, live freely. That evening, they sat by a fire under the stars. Lyra drew in the dirt again. What are you drawing now? Evan asked. She smiled. Not a tower, not a weapon. Just a house with flowers, like the one we had. Zari added softly, she remembers everything. Evan looked up at the stars. She'd be more than they ever feared. The night grew. Quiet, but not empty, because far above, signals moved. Across galaxies, whispers spread. The girl lives, the human stayed. They chose kindness. And somewhere in the dark, some feared that. But others hoped. In the morning, Lyra stood at the hilltop. Wind in her silver hair. She closed her eyes and whispered, I'm not what they made me. I'm what I chose to be. Evan walked beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. And you'll never be alone.